The Raimond Rose Trail of Terror starts basically in Winona, Minnesota, St. Mary's College. From there it goes to Chicago, where Raimond Rose had his first teaching assignment. Then he comes to Minnesota, to a couple Catholic schools in Minneapolis, then to a couple Catholic schools in St. Paul, over to a Catholic school in Stevens Point, Wisconsin called Pacelli. From there back to St. Paul and a place called Dunroven, a Christian Brothers religious retreat center where Rose lived and had access to children that were attending that retreat center for religion classes. From there they dumped him on children in Fargo, North Dakota. From there they dumped him on children in Concord, California. Then they shipped him off to New Mexico, then up to New York and Washington, D.C. Then back to Minnesota at a juvenile correctional facility. From there, back to Chicago to live in a Christian Brothers home where they protected him. When Rose was in Fargo, he would chaperone kids on class trips that generally went down to the Bahamas. On one of those trips, Rose raped a teenage boy in a hotel in Orlando, another teenage boy on the place that they were living or staying in the Bahamas. He also made numerous trips with some of these kids from Shanley High School in Fargo to sporting events in Bismarck, North Dakota, Jamestown, North Dakota, and other cities. Another survivor was raped in Winnipeg, Canada. Another survivor from Fargo was taken on a trip across the North Dakota-Minnesota border to Thief River Falls, where that kid was attacked. There's another survivor who had a problem as a teenager. So he was sent to the North Dakota Boys Ranch, where Raimond Rose visited, acted as a religion teacher. That man today is seeking legal help because of the abuse that Raimond Rose did to him there. One of the Fargo victims, survivors, started correspondence with the provincial of the Christian Brothers. That provincial was Brother Thomas Johnson. Thomas Johnson, in a dated signed letter, said that Raimond Rose was no longer around children. Yet. At that time, Raimond Rose was a chaplain at the Red Wing Juvenile Correctional Facility in Minnesota. There is a letter signed by Johnson, dated, in correspondence with one Minnesota agency, where Johnson gives folks the statement that Raimond Rose has no history of child abuse. He is not a danger to children. That is 30 years after the first parental report about Raimond Rose abusing his son in 1966. Thomas Johnson today is the #2 official in the Christian Brothers worldwide. In 1995, he wrote a letter to one of the Rose victims that reached out for help and told that survivor that Raimond Rose no longer had contact with children. Thomas Johnson must have known about the trail of terror of Raimond Rose, yet he outright lied to the survivor. The #2 man in the Christian Brothers, Vicar General Thomas Johnson, at the top of the pecking order of that organizational structure. The trail of terror of Raimond Rose goes from East Coast to West Coast, to Canada, to Bahamas, to Florida, to New Orleans. A trail that where any young teenage boy that came across Raimond Rose on a sidewalk or a street was in danger. A trail where Raimond Rose could easily be the most dangerous man to ever walk across a street or sidewalk. Many Catholic kids from parishes and schools from the Twin Cities and western Wisconsin were taken for religion classes. In some cases, these students had to graduate or pass the religion classes at Dunroven to be able to graduate from high school. The way I look at that, the Christian Brothers, knowing Raimond Rose was a danger to children, sent Raimond Rose children. Something's wrong. Something's wrong when the worldwide religious order called the Christian Brothers can allow and enable the sexual abuse of children for decades and never stop it.